TLDR, American fiction is to normal, everyday black people as Boys in the Hood is to the gangsters. So I just went to watch American Fiction starring Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown, Issa Rae, Tracy Ellis Ross is in it, Adam Brody is in it. Shout out to the OC, and the great Keith David is also in it, and really just a bunch of great actors are in this work. And you will have to bear with me because I've got notes. Whenever a work of art like this comes out that is so important to society, and believe me, this work really is very important to society, it's important to take your time to think about it, and I'm going to do a much deeper review. This is a spoiler-free review, so go and watch it. Find a place where this movie is showing and go and watch it because it's amazing. But whenever a work like this comes out, it's important not to miss anything. So I made sure that I took down notes on everything that I want to talk about so that we don't lose any issues. So what is American Fiction about? At the base level, American Fiction is about an angry black man. So why is the main character angry? The main character, Thelonious Monk, is angry because he feels marginalized. He feels like he's living in an empty chamber. He can't be himself. There's this image of what blackness is supposed to be that's out in the zeitgeist, out in the real world, and it doesn't fit him. And in many ways, he faces through the movie pressures to be that image that's being propagated into the world about what a black person is supposed to be, about what blackness is. First-time writer-director Cord Jefferson cleverly weaves in the irony of the situation Monk finds himself in as we discover throughout the story that the people who are controlling the image that's put out there, that the main character and really everybody in the story and really everybody in America to a certain extent, the people controlling that image are people who don't know anything about the people that they're filtering. They have an idea in their head, and their idea in their head is about a marginalized group, and everything that they put out there is about being marginalized. We're either portrayed as slaves or we're portrayed as criminals. Slaves, criminals, entertainers, slave, criminal, entertainer, slave, criminal, entertainer. That's the image that's put out there. I'm not saying that's reality because obviously we know that that's not reality, but that is the image that is constantly put out, pumped out by the status quo about black people. And because of this, it's created a vicious culture war between the black classes. On one end, you have people who are perfectly normal individuals who just, middle class people living peaceful lives. And they don't even have to be middle class, just people living peaceful lives, being whatever it is they are. And then people who are involved in some kind of criminal activity or activities that are detrimental to society, detrimental to their communities. As long as I've been in this country, this has played out multiple times. Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, this huge push for enlightenment in the young black community. When I was a young man, 2 seconds later, NWA, gangster rap, killing this person, and bees and hoes and all this stuff. And then it comes back around and we got happy music, we got P. Diddy, we got music that's about just living life, having fun. Not too long after that, we got 50 Cent, we got Wu-Tang Clan. And of course, because of that, as a young individual growing up in the world, right, you face tremendous pressure because the lens that's tied to your identity and how you're supposed to be is being driven by these stereotypes, this sort of walking minstrel show, a social minstrel show of how you should behave as an individual. This is in many ways an indictment of the image that Hollywood projects of black people. And it's not just Hollywood, it's really everything. As stated, it's movies, it's music, it's clothing, it's everything. It's all filtered through a lens that takes the lowest common denominator of the black society and projects it as the status quo of being black. and really gives no other alternatives. You're either following whatever the cool black culture of that status quo is, or we got nothing for you. You're either from the street or you're from Sesame Street. Those are your choices. And this is very poignant because it ties to the interview of Cat Williams done by Shannon Sharpe, which talks quite a bit about this notion of people who are put into positions of power. And when they are in these positions of power, they push a very specific agenda. Now, in the movie, they don't necessarily put any kind of nefarious spin, and they sort of take it down the route of it's what sells. But if you slowly unwind, ultimately, it goes without saying that you're gonna get to a point where you eventually are hitting a person who's making a conscious choice to propagate a certain kind of music, a certain kind of living, a certain kind of being. Now, the other thing that this movie delves into is the social pressure to belong. You see that very clearly in this movie as it progresses, and basically he's realizing that the only way that he can find success in the literary world is to succumb to the pressure, is to become this character that he despises and that's not real, to become this caricature. So what did I think about the movie? As you can tell, I thought the story was very poignant, not only from the perspective of the underlying themes of the movie and the message that it's trying to put out there, but also from the perspective of the individuals and the interactions and the things that were going on in the movie. I thought Jeffrey Wright just killed it. I mean, amazing performance. I thought Issa Rae was good. I particularly liked the scene between her and Jeffrey Wright, where they have out the culture war debate. Should power be out there? Should we be making stories like that? Why are we telling these stories? If you ask me, the answer is absolutely no. I don't think glorifying criminality is good in any society. If you just romanticize self-destructive behavior, you're going to create self-destructive citizens who are going to destroy your society. So all in all, my verdict is this is an incredible film. This is seminal work in taking back control of the imagery, shifting it completely away from criminality, and even shifting it away from exceptional people and just shifting it towards individuals, normal human beings like you out there with problems like you out there. A person that could be a lawyer, could be a doctor, could be a mechanic, could be a corrections officer, could be a police officer, could be in the military. These are who black people are. They are the people protecting you when there's enemies at the gate. They are the people helping you get your cat from on top of a tree. I give this movie an infinity out of 5. It is, quite frankly, one of the best movies that I've seen in a long, long time. I've watched through the years many stories about normal white people. Many stories about normal white people. And I've found some of them interesting and some of them not. I would love for you, Hollywood, to start showing us stories about other people. Nothing weird, just write a story about what's going on in a normal black person's life, because that's interesting too. And if it doesn't seem interesting to you, that's because it's you looking at it. It's not because it's not interesting. If it doesn't seem interesting to you, then you should be asking yourself what's going on with you, that the only thing you find interesting about black people is if they're killing each other or if they're selling drugs to each other. So I challenge you, sir, ma'am, watching this video, go and watch American Fiction. So that's it for me. Stay tuned for our spoiler review and stay tuned for the next episode of the Sign of Reason podcast, where we'll be delving into deeper detail on this particular subject. Until then, keep your thinking caps on.